Hello everyone. So we are going to start the part 4 from topic micrometrics. So in this unit we are going to deal with the different methods for determining the porosity and the density of the powder. So without wasting any time, let's start our presentation. So you see, the true density actually it defined as the volume that is occupied by the voids. Now this voids, we have two types of voids. Number one, it is the interparticle spaces, and number two, that is number one, it is the interparticle spaces, the spaces between the particles, and number two, it is the intraparticle pores, or you can say spaces. So in the determination of the true density, we generally used to consider, or we consider the volume occupied by the voids, that is the interparticle spaces, but we don't include the intraparticle pores in this measurement of the true density. Clear? So interparticle space will be determined for determining the true density. Now it is calculated generally by suspending the drug, that is the powdered drug, in a solvent of various densities. So the thing is that the drug particle will be suspended in the solvent with different density, but the thing is that important thing is that the drug particles should not be soluble in that solvent, right? So after vigorous agitation, means after vigorous shaking, means when we are going to shake, we are going to mix the drug powder with the solvent of different density, right? Now for each solvent, after vigorous shaking or mixing, the sample are centrifuged, and then they are allowed to stand undisturbed till the drug is either you settle down in the centrifuge tube or it is floated. So when the drug will settle down in the centrifuge tube, you will have two layers. The down layer, it will be the dark layer, that is the settled down or sedimented drug particles. The upper layer, that will be the volume of the solvent, right? And if the drug is floating, and then at the top layer you are going to get the cream or the creamy layer of the powdered drug, and at the bottom layer you are going to get the layer of the solvent, right? So the sample that remains suspended actually it corresponds to the true density of the material, and it is generally calculated by pycnometer, right? So what is pycnometer? It is nothing but, you can simply say it's the specific gravity apparatus, right? So how we are going to determine, that is the one method we have already discussed. So how we are going to determine the true density? Basically we have two methods. One, it is the helium displacement method. So helium displacement method, it is generally used for porous powder. Done. The next method, it is the liquid displacement method. It is used for non-porous powder. So these two methods, the helium displacement method and the liquid displacement method, we are going to described in the upcoming slides. So let's start with the liquid displacement method. So as the name reveals, liquid is going to be used in this process, and it is generally performed for non-porous powders. So liquid displacement method, it is used for non-porous powder. So how we are going to do it? You see, select, first of all you have to select the solvent in which the powder is insoluble. Here I am referring the powder, it is the drug powder, right? So first of all we have to select the solvent in which, suppose the drug it is hydrophilic, then we have to select a hydrophobic solvent, for example oil, etc., or any organic solvent, right? So pycnometer, or you can say specific gravity bottle, it is used in this method. Done. Now let's do some calculation. It's a very easy one. Just go through the step. First of all, before doing that, just weight the pycnometer. What is the weight of the pycnometer? Take the weight of the pycnometer as W1. Suppose the pycnometer it is weighing 10 mg, or sorry 10 gram, it is W1. The weight of the pycnometer, it is the W1, right? Before starting the process, you just weigh the weight of the pycnometer. Next, weight of the pycnometer along with the sample. Along with the sample means, now we are going to put the sample within the pycnometer, that is the specific gravity bottle, and again weight it. This is the weight to W2. It is WT, it is nothing but it is the weight of the pycnometer along with the sample, right? Then what is the sample weight? Simple, W2 minus W1. You got it, right? Now you see the weight of the pycnometer plus sample plus solvent. Now you are going to put the solvent in the pycnometer, right? So this weight it is designated as W4, right? So the weight of the liquid displaced by the sample. What is the weight of the liquid displaced by the sample? It is W5. It is simply equal to W4 minus W2. So weight of the liquid displaced by the sample, it is equal to W4 minus W2. Now how are you going to determine the true density? Thus the true density is generally equal to W3. W2 minus W1, that is W3 divided by W5. So this is the liquid displacement method, and it is generally used for porous powder. It's a simple calculation. Done. Now let's deal with the porous one. This one for the non-porous. Let's deal with the porous one now. Helium displacement method. So it's a construction of the machine you should know. So the helium gas, actually why it is selected, as this helium gas, it does not get absorbed on the solid sample. That's why the helium gas it is used for determination of the true density of the powder drug. Number one, because it is not absorbed on the sample, right? Number two, the helium gas has a capacity to enter the pores within the powder drug. Got it? And number three, it is very useful in estimating the true density of the porous solids. So that's why we prefer the helium gas for determination of the true density. Now this is the helium pycnometer. So in this pycnometer, just see we have four different parts: A, B, C, and D. A, it is the sample cell. Here the sample will be introduced, right? B, it is the valve. See, in this valve we have three connections. One connection, it is for helium gas. Helium gas will be entered. This is for atmospheric, right? Atmospheric air, and this is connected with the vacuum. And the part C, it is nothing but it is the pressure detector. It will determine the pressure. And the part 4, it is the piston. It is movable. It can either you can move it upward or you can pull it downward. So how it works? Let's study. You see, what is the work of the sample holder? The sample holder, this is the sample holder. It is sealed after placing the sample. Once you have placed the sample in the sample holder, you can seal it. You have to seal it. This is the black color portion. It is the seal. You can seal it, right? Now the valve. This valve actually it is connected to the sample holder via this tube, right? It is connected to the sample holder. It have a provision for removing the air. It will remove the air, right, from the sample under or after, you can say, introducing the helium gas. Next we have the pressure detector. So it maintains the preset constant pressure. So in the pressure detector, if we suppose we have given 30 psi pressure, then it will maintain the 30 psi pressure for the study or during the time of the study. The pressure detector actually it helps in maintaining the constant pressure. The last one, that is a piston. This one actually it does the reading, so it reads the corresponding pressure. So here there is a scale attached with the piston. So just this value, the mark of this piston, it will give you the reading. So it is also related to the volume of the powder, right? Now let's see how it works. Simple. First of all, air in the sample holder is removed by vacuum. So you remove the air by the vacuum, right? Now helium gas will be introduced into the valve. The helium gas will be introduced into the valve. It will come here, right? So the next one, it is the pressure is adjusted. Now the pressure will be adjusted and set up to a particular value with the help of the piston. Suppose if we press the piston, the pressure will get a particular value. Suppose we want 30 psi, so you just press the piston. As you are pressing the piston, the pressure will increase and it will give you a corresponding value. That is, suppose we want 30 psi, it will show you 30 psi, correct? Now suppose after maintaining or after giving a pressure of 30 psi, the reading here, the reading on the scale, suppose it is U1. After suppose we have pushed it upward, so it will give you a reading. Suppose U1, this is a U1, it is the scale, this is the arbitrary scale actually, the value will be there. So U1, it is the pressure after adjusting the piston, or U1, it is the reading of the scale after adjusting the pressure. Clear? Now the U1 actually, it is nothing but U1 is equal to volume of the empty sample holder. U1, it is the volume of the empty sample holder. It means before doing the experiment, we will first see what is the volume of the empty sample holder. Now we are going to put the sample. Now place actually here in the sample holder, place standard known true volume of stainless steel sphere. First of all, we are going to put stainless steel sphere, small sphere of the steel made up of stainless steel, and which true volume actually we know, right? Now again, just after putting the sphere here, just remove the air, right, and then introduce the helium through the valve, right? Now you are going to get some reading. So now the pressure is adjusted to preset value, suppose 30 psi with the help of the piston. We have adjusted the pressure. We have pushed it, suppose it has shown 30 psi, we will stop, right? Now at this position, the reading on the scale, suppose it is U2. U2, it is the reading on the scale. U1, it was the reading for the empty sample holder. Empty sample holder, when it was empty, and U2 is the reading for filled sample holder, and this sample holder, it is filled with the spheres of stainless steel, right? Now the difference between the U1 and U2 actually gives the volume occupied by the standard. Clear? Now what about the drug sample? At the last step, this involves determination of the volume of the sample. So the standard, now it is replaced with the sample. Now here the sphere, the stainless steel sphere will be removed or it will be taken out. Now you are going to put the powder drug here. Again push it, you will get the reading. You have set the pressure up to 30 psi and you have got some reading. Suppose this is the US, it is the reading after putting the sample to get a pressure of 30 psi, right? Now how you are going to determine? It's a simple calculation, just see. So VSTD, that is the V standard, it is the true volume of the standard sample. Clear? So standard sample was the sphere of the stainless steel ball, right? The V test, it is the true volume of the test sample. Clear? So U2 minus U1. U1 was the pressure for the empty one, and U2 after putting the sphere of the stainless steel. So U2 minus U1, it is the volume occupied by the standard sample. Clear? Then U1 minus US, it is the volume occupied by the test sample, right? So V test, that is the volume test of volume of the test sample, is equal to volume of the test sample is equal to V STD divided by U1 minus U2. This whole, it is multiplied by U1 minus US. Clear? So this is the basic equation to determine the true density using the helium pycnometer. So I hope you have liked the video. If you like the video, just press the like icon. You can share this video and you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you once again.